start.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Sekshunuminitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Vasvabantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnamamcham Shri Rupam Sagrajantam Sahagana Raghunanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांच गौरांगी राधे वृंदनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण माता जी.
Thank you, Amma. So today we'll be starting chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute. So before that, let me start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you very much for joining this session again. So today we'll be discussing about chapter 10, that is the opulence of the absolute. So like every week, let us do a quick recap of chapter 9. So anybody remember what is the name of the chapter 9? You can type in the chat. Name of the chapter 9. Okay, someone sent it. Raja Vidya Raja Guhya. Yeah, very good. The most confidential knowledge. Very good. Yeah. So this week we'll be talking about chapter 10. So let's do a quick recap of chapter 9. So in chapter 9, we discussed about 4 sections. So the first section we discussed about knowledge. So what is this knowledge about and what is the qualification to actually receive this knowledge? So what is the qualification Krishna said? Krishna said, because Arjuna, you are my dear friend and devotee and you are actually Anasuyave, means you are non-envious. That's why I'm imparting this knowledge to you. And what is the nature of this knowledge? The nature of this knowledge is Raja Vidya, means it is the king of all knowledges. And it is on actually understanding this knowledge, it is very joyful and it is everlasting. And when we actually listen to this knowledge, it actually purifies us and all our sinful reactions will be lost. And the second section we discussed about inconceivable. So what is inconceivable nature of the Lord? Like there's so many contradictions. We discussed one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita where it says that the Lord walks, he does not walk. Lord is inside and outside. So those are all the contradictory qualities. Means with our material senses, we cannot understand the Lord. But then once we actually approach a spiritual master or a guru, then he will impart that knowledge to us. Then we will be able to understand that knowledge. And in the third section, we discussed about who actually neglects Krishna, who comes to Krishna and who actually reject Krishna. And if someone comes to Krishna, how will Krishna deal with them? So here we discussed about Arjunacharya's story, if everyone remember, how Krishna personally comes to actually deliver his devotees. And once we actually go to this, we accept Krishna, we surrender onto him, what are the results also Krishna discussed here. And in the final section, that is the glories of the devotional service, here Krishna was discussing about how simple it is. So here we discussed about a very important verse like Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So how simple it is to actually worship Krishna, and once we actually worship, we surrender completely onto Krishna. It gives us the freedom from miseries because it actually puts away from the cycle of birth and death. And then we will actually attain an eternal life of happiness. Why eternal life of happiness? Because we can go to Goloka Vrindavan in this life only. So the last verse of this chapter, that is 9.34, is very important. So 4 important points have been explained in this particular verse. Anyone remember that one? Anyone remember that verse?
Tadvidhi pranipatena.
No, 9.34. Manmana.
Bhavan madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktavaivam atmana matparayana.
Very good. So what are the 4 things Krishna was saying there? Manmana.
Madbhakto.
Means manmana means think of me.
Become my devotee.
Worship me.
Offer obeisances unto me.
Very good. Excellent. So these 4 things is Krishna is saying. If we do that 4 things, that is more than enough. We will actually go to Goloka Vrindavan. That is what Krishna said. So that is a very important verse to meditate on. And let's go to today's chapter. Chapter 10. So here we'll start with the sections breakup. So in this chapter, the sections breakup are like 4 sections. The first section we will know from the verse 1 to 7 that Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna is the source of all. And then in the second section, we'll be discussing about 4 verses here. And Acharyas generally describe these 4 verses as Chatur Shloki. Means these 4 verses actually give the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And then we will go to the third section wherein we will discuss about how Arjuna accepts Krishna's supreme position from the verse 12 to 19. And in the final section, that is, we will discuss about Krishna's vibhutis. So in this 22 verses, Krishna explains about his opulences, his divine opulences. It is also called as vibhutis. So now let's proceed on to the first section. So till now we have discussed many things about Krishna, like he was discussing about his opulences and he was discussing about how his energies are manifested and everything. But now Krishna is saying, Arjuna, I'll give you a more better knowledge. So what is that better knowledge? We will see here. So in this section, Krishna will be talking about how we will understand how to know Krishna and how he is the source of everything. And he is actually known at unknown. How he is unknown, we will discuss here. So first verse, who wanted to?
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrunu me paramam vachah Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami natamya. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained.
Very good. So here what is Krishna saying? How we have to know Krishna? He's saying. So what is Krishna addressing here? He's saying, Shrunu. Shrunu means listen. Listen again from me. So far he actually told a lot to Arjuna. But again he's saying, oh Arjuna, oh mighty armed, he's saying. What he's saying, he is addressing Arjuna. Mahabaho means mighty armed Arjuna. Listen from me. So what he is asking to listen, he's saying he will speak about a knowledge which is better than what he has already explained. So if we have realized, we have come to the 10th chapter, means we have completed half of Bhagavad Gita. Once half of Bhagavad Gita is done, in this particular chapter, Krishna is saying, whatever I have given now, I am giving a more better knowledge than that, and listen to me again. That is what Krishna is saying here. So there is one more verse, if anyone wants to read. Yeah, Arya.
Name Vasudha Sura Ganaha
Prabhavam.
Prabhavam na marha sadaya avam padai evam namam
Devanam.
devanam
Maharshinam.
ka sarasvada.
Very good. Translation.
Translation. Neither the cost of demigods nor the great sage, know my origin or opulence, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah. So what is Krishna saying here? Krishna is saying, Name viduhu suraganaha. Suragana means who? All the devatas or demigods. And he is saying, Prabhavam na mahashayaha. Even the maharshis or the sages or the demigods or the hosts of the demigods, no one actually know me. Why is Krishna saying that? Let's see an example here. See, for example, all of us have parents, right? Like how much we know about our parents? Because they are born before us. So do you know your parents' childhood times? You don't know, right? Because they are born before us, because their origin is before us. We know from the point at least we have grown up. Even when we are small, we don't know. But sometimes we actually listen from our grandparents. So we'll know a little bit about them, but we cannot know about them completely. Same way, Krishna is the source of all these people. So he's saying even the devatas or even the sages in the next verses, like this particular section is from 1 to 7, right? So in this verses, Krishna is saying that neither the demigods, the devatas, or the manus, or the rishis, or the sages, they don't know me in complete, because Krishna is the source of everyone. He is the beginning and these people came after him. Okay, so that's why he's saying that they actually, so what is this, Harika? You're trying to do something, just check. So here Krishna is saying that no one actually know me. And even Krishna is saying the qualities. So far Krishna was talking about only his opulences. But Krishna now he's saying all the qualities, all the opulences are also, all the qualities are also the source I am. So for example, we have so many qualities, right? Like intelligence we have forgiveness, we have gratitude. So all these, whatever knowledge, mind, everything, I am the source, Krishna is saying here. Okay. So let's see example here. So once there was an elephant. So this elephant was saying, was asking in the forest, it is going to each and every animal there. So first it went to a rabbit and it is asking like, will you be my friend? Then the rabbit said, see, you're very huge and I am tiny. How can I become your friend? No, I don't want to become your friend. Then the elephant went to a frog. So this time what the frog said, the frog was jumping. What the frog does, it jumps in the water from there to here, right? So it was jumping in the water and it was asking the elephant, can you jump like this? Show if you can jump like this, then I'll become your friend. Then the elephant said, no, I cannot jump like that. Then you are not my friend, go away, the frog said. Then it again went to a monkey. This time what the monkey said, what the monkey does, the monkey actually, the monkey says like it wanted to jump from one tree to the other tree. Then the monkey was asking, can you jump from this tree to the other tree? Show me if you can jump from this tree to the other tree, then I'll become your friend. Then the elephant said, no, I cannot jump like you. Then it was actually going away, thinking that there are no friends for me. Then suddenly what happened is, in that forest, there was a lion roaring and it was actually coming. And these monkey and others are so fearful that the lion is coming. So what did the elephant do? The elephant actually, the elephant was actually trying to go away. Then on hearing this lion roar, right, what this elephant do? The elephant is a huge animal, right? What it did is, it has a trunk, right? With the trunk, it just hold the lion and it threw it away. Seeing that, all this monkey, rabbit, everyone, they came to elephant and said, you're our best friend, your friend, from today we are your friends. See, even in real life, if you see, we wanted to be friends with someone who was very popular or who is very powerful, right? When we are with someone who is very powerful, they can protect us, right? So now they all became friends. Same way, Krishna is, although Krishna is the source of everything, He is a dear friend to every one of us. He's always trying to be our friend. He's always trying to be closer to us. He wanted us all to come to him. So anyone remember that verse which actually talks about Krishna being our friend? Anyone remember that verse? I told about the word Suhrut. Suhrut means friend.
Yes, Mother. Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shantim richati.
Excellent. So what is Krishna saying there? He's saying, I am a well-wisher. There is no other friend greater than Krishna. He is a well-wisher of everyone. Although he is having so many opulences, he is the best of the best. He is the greatest of the greatest, but still he is a dear friend and well-wisher of each and everyone. Right? Understood? One more example we'll understand. So when we say about the qualities, right, we are saying all the qualities are coming from Krishna. Like whatever good or bad also, qualities are coming from Krishna. Then people, what they question? They question, why will actually Krishna create the bad qualities? Why cannot Krishna always create only good qualities? So this question will generally arise. So let's understand from this example. See, there is sun now, and this particular person is facing towards the sun. When he is facing towards the sun, he can see sunlight. But behind you can see a image of him, right? So what is that? That is a reflection of his image only. But it is dark. Because he is facing towards the sun, he can see light. And because the sun is there only, you can see the reflection behind, which is darkness. So agreed, right? Like because of the sun only, there is light, there is darkness also. But if the same person, he actually turns towards this side, then he cannot see the sun right. He will be in darkness. So same way, we'll take one more example to understand whether Krishna is creating this bad qualities. So for example, you go to a supermarket. Okay, in supermarket, there'll be so many options available, right? Like there might be chocolates, there might be junk foods, there might be actually vegetables, fruits, everything. So we have our free will. We go and we actually get whatever we want, whatever we desire, right? Nobody is forcing us right there. Whatever we want, we'll go and get it from the supermarket. You are free to actually choose whatever you want and you keep in your basket and you come back home by paying the bill. So same way, Krishna, because they are people, demonic people, divine people are there, demonic people also are there. So Krishna has created these qualities because the living entity is so adamant that they wanted to do sometimes some things. And for example, when you go to bad qualities, you can see envious nature is there and you can see anger. So all these are bad qualities, right? But Krishna has created this because the living entity is so adamant that they wanted to use them. So what we have to do is we have to only cultivate the good habits. We should not actually bother about the bad habits. Understood? We'll take one more example for the same thing. So here you can see a plant, right? So this is when a seed of bhakti, when a seed is planted, you'll get a plant out of it from that when you actually water it. So only water and the seed is enough. Anything else is required for that. You need a fertile soil, right? Without soil, you cannot actually grow this plant. So what is the seed? The seed is compared to the bhakti. So our guru will instill that, will sow that seed of bhakti in us. And then we water it. Like how do we water? We water it by listening to Krishna Katha, by actually going through the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So what and all we are doing now. Sometimes you are reciting sloka, sometimes I am actually discussing about this. So whatever you are doing here, that is you are actually watering that seed, okay, watering that bhakti. And then you need a fertile soil. So how can you make it fertile? The soil should, see, any soil will not be suitable, right? Some soil, if there are so many chemicals, the plants will not grow there, right? So chemicals are what? Chemicals are like the bad qualities. But then we have to try to get into only good qualities. So what are the good qualities? Like humility, forgiveness, satisfaction. You should not be envious, equanimity. We have to respect, simplicity, tolerance. So all these, some of the qualities which are mentioned. So once we actually inculcate these habits into our day-to-day lives, we will actually be very happy and we can progress further. Whether it is spiritual life or material life also, when you inculcate all these habits, you'll be happy and you will actually stand out of the crowd. You will not be the same as the other crowd, right? Got it? Yeah. So here we have a life lesson if anyone wants to read it.
Krishna is the source of all good things. Absent of good is evil.
Very good. So this is the life lesson for the people who actually ask why Krishna created bad things. Krishna did not create bad things. Krishna is the source of all good things. But if we don't practice what Krishna gave in the scriptures, if we do not practice the Sanatan Dharma, that is absence of good is evil. So without Krishna, minus Krishna is evil. That we have to understand. Okay. So here in the second verse, what was Krishna saying? Krishna was saying, even the hosts of the demigods, the great sages know me. But then here you can see the picture of Yashoda Mai. She's so everyone know this pastime, right? Damodar Leela. So Yashoda Mai is a cowherd lady. The cowherd lady could actually tie Krishna with the ropes of love. See, Krishna is unknown for most of the things until we actually approach a spiritual master and we go through the scriptures, we cannot understand Krishna. But then this cowherd lady is so affectionate that she is able to conquer Krishna, and she was able to tie him because it is because of the love and affection. So that's how we have to surrender on to Krishna. So once we accept Krishna's energies and Krishna's opulences, and if we understand that Krishna is greatest of the greatest and he is the supreme personality of Godhead, then that automatically leads to surrender. Okay. So here again we have a life lesson if anyone wants to read. Harika?
Mataji, I can't see the screen.
I think there is a lag on your side. Can you see now?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
True, inconvertible, and
approachable,
that Krishna can be bounded by ropes of love.
Very good. So this is very important life lesson if we wanted to actually surrender on to Krishna. We know that Krishna has inconceivable qualities and he is unapproachable. But yet, like Yashoda Mai, how she tied Krishna with the ropes of love, if we have that one quality of love and affection towards Krishna, we can actually bind him with the ropes of love. Okay? Yeah. So now we come to the second section, the 4 important slokas, which are actually called as Chatur slokas by our acharyas. And these are very, very important verses if anyone wants to recite. Mahati, yes.
सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भाव समन्विताः. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Very good. So this is a very, very important verse which is actually talking that Krishna is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Who is I am here? I am is Krishna here. And he is saying matta sarvam pravattate. Everything is emanating from him. And iti matva bhajante mam. So what is Krishna saying? The wise who actually understand this, then they will engage in my devotional service with their all hearts. See, now we have come to 10th chapter. And still you're joining this classes means you all are very intelligent. That's why you are actually coming to this classes regularly. Yeah, understood? So here in this picture you can see, right, Krishna is saying he is the source of everything. So here we can see Mahavishnu. So as we talked earlier, Mahavishnu is Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So what happens when he is breathing in and out, the material universes are coming. When he is breathing out, all the material universes are actually coming. For every breath, so many from each of his body pores, so many material universes are coming out. Unlimited universes are coming out. And then when he actually breathes in, all these go inside. And here we might get a question, why Krishna has to create these many material universes? Because it is because of our desire. because each person would desire something else, right? So because of our desires, Krishna is actually creating these many unlimited universes. Okay. So we can, so some people say like, no, all this universe, everything manifested by itself. So here we will discuss about the story of Newton. So Isaac Newton, everyone knows Newton, right? Yeah. So once Newton's friend was there. So what was Newton's friend saying is like, there is no God, all this universe, everything, it is manifested by itself. Then Newton was not happy because Newton always believed that God exists. So he was not happy, but then he could not win over the argument with his friend. So he just left that argument there. And after some days, right, he actually invited his friend to his house. When his friend came to his house, right, he actually prepared a model of the solar system. All of you know the solar system, right? So you have science models also, right? So he prepared a model which actually is operating so beautifully. Seeing that model, his friend was asking, wow, this is really fantastic. Who actually prepared this? It's very nice. Then Newton said, nobody actually prepared this. This manifested by itself. Then his friends told, how can this be manifested by itself? No, that is not possible. Then Newton said, why can't it be possible? It manifested by itself. There is no one who actually prepared this model. Then his friend told, no, you're lying. You're maintaining some secrecy. Why are you maintaining so much of secrecy? Tell me who actually prepared that. Then Newton said, for a small model, you are asking who is the creator. Then this universe and so many planets, everything is managed automatically and everything is under control. And you're saying there is no creator for that. For such a small science model, you're saying there will be a creator, then why not for the universe? So we have to understand that how can something come out of nothing? It is not possible, right? So there is a creator behind everything. And that creator, according to Bhagavad Gita, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Okay? Yeah. So the second verse, who wanted to read this one? Yes, Vishnu Priya. Yeah.
Machitra madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam Katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Translation. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Very good. So this is also very important verse where Krishna is explaining what are the symptoms of the pure devotees. Machita. So what is Krishna saying here? Pure devotees always think about Krishna. They always dwell their lives, their entire everything. They actually dwell in Krishna's chanting, discussing about Krishna, and they derive a lot of satisfaction, and they're all blissful, and it is very enlightening about thinking about Krishna and talking about Krishna. See, after 10 chapters, 9 chapters, you still are not bored about listening about Krishna, right? That's why you are joining, right? So there is Susukam Kartumavyam. Krishna was saying that. So it is always joyous to actually listen about Krishna. That is what Krishna is explaining here. So here we'll discuss about, so here you can see, right, the first picture of Lord Jagannath. So today is actually Balram Jayanti. It is very auspicious, and we'll discuss about how actually the Jagannath deities, this form manifested. Okay. So one time what happened is, see, all of you know there's so many queens, right? Like 16,108 queens. So one time what happened is, anyone know who is Rohini Mata? Who is Rohini Mata? Yes, Harshit.
Mataji, mother of Balrama.
Very good. Yeah. So one time what happened is, all these queens, they were asking Rohini Mata because Rohini Mata and Yashoda Mai, they know the pastimes, childhood pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. Okay, so because the queens, they don't know about the pastimes of Krishna, the queens, they requested Rohini Mata to actually describe about the pastimes of Krishna. Then Rohini Mata, she agreed, and what they did is, Subhadra is there, right? Subhadra is a sister of Krishna. they told Subhadra to actually stand near like a doorkeeper and see whether Krishna and Balaram are coming. And Subhadra was actually standing near the door like a gatekeeper. And Rohini Mata started describing about the childhood pastimes of Krishna. She is very much involved in that talk. She is describing everything in detail. Okay. And then the queens are listening very attentively. And even the Subhadra, who is actually acting like a doorkeeper, even she got very much interested. She became very aesthetic. She wanted to actually listen to Krishna's pastimes. And what she's doing from the door, she's standing at the door and she's peeping and putting all her ears and she's listening to Krishna Katha. Then suddenly Krishna and Balram, they were actually passing by and they were seeing Subhadra. What? Subhadra is standing at the door and why she is actually peeping into the door like this? They actually came, like Krishna and Balram came on either sides of Subhadra. So you can see in the picture, right? Krishna and Balram on either sides of Subhadra. And they are also peeping into the door and they're listening. When they are listening, because of their love towards the devotees, whatever they're hearing, because it is their pastime, right? Because of their love, not devotees, because of their love, they became very aesthetic. And what happened is their eyes became wide open and their smile became very broad. You can see in this picture, right, how eyes became wide open and their smile was so broad and all their limbs, they actually shrinked. They became like this. And they were actually listening to those pastimes. Then suddenly Narada Muni came there. Narada Muni saw and he was very much that blissful state, this darshan he saw and he was really very much devotional. And he said, my dear Lord, your form of this is really very blissful. Why can't you give this darshan to everyone in this world? I want you to give this darshan to everyone. That is how the Jagannath form is manifested. Okay, understood? So here what we can understand, when we discuss about the Lord, we will be happy, right? And more than us, Krishna will be happy. See, one time Mataji told for you, like how many are there in this call means Mataji told, now we have 20. So it is 20 plus 1 because Krishna comes and listens. Yeah. So same way when we are discussing about Krishna, right? He will be more happy than anyone actually. Okay, we can actually take our example also. See, for example, when someone relatives come to your house, then your mother or father might be telling about your glories. They might say, see, my daughter got first in this. She actually performed this. She drew a painting. She performed something for Janmashtami and she got the first grade. Or all of you have done 100 slokas of SSP, right? Then that your parents will be feeling proud about that and they will actually show that certificate to any of your friends or relatives who come to your house, right? That time, how do you feel? Your parents are talking about yourself, right? So you will definitely be feeling happy, right? So same way, when we talk about Krishna, we will feel happy. And on the other hand, Krishna will be even more happy. So here we'll discuss one more pastime. Like all of you know Lavakusha, right? They're Ramchandra's sons. So Lavakusha, they actually used to live in Valmiki's ashram and they actually sing the Lord's glories, Ramayanam so well. So beautifully they narrate Ramayanam. So once they were invited to Ramachandra's kingdom, Ayodhya, to actually narrate Ramayanam. Then when they are actually reciting Ramayanam, right, everyone in the Ayodhya, even including Ramachandra, they were very happy to actually listen to the Ramayanam. But then what happened during that time, you know, the Ayodhyavashis are enjoying a lot. Ramachandra saw about the Ayodhyavashis and he thought, better than me, they actually are enjoying Ramayanam even more. I alone are on this throne. I'm not that much enjoying. But then see, sometimes if you are watching anything on the TV, like say for example, cricket match, if you're watching the World Cup, right, when India is on the final, then how do you actually feel? You actually enjoy sitting with your family. And if there is a sixer or four, what you'll do? You'll enjoy with your family, right? Like if your family is there beside, you might tap them saying that, hey, sixer, four, like that, right? So these Ayodhyavashis, what they're doing, if some particular incident came in Ramayana, they were actually tapping the other shoulder. See how wonderfully these people are doing and all they're enjoying so well. Ramachandra thought, if I go to that crowd, I will enjoy even more. So what he did from the throne, they'll have so many ornaments, right? Because he is a king, he has so many ornaments on his body. He actually hold all the ornaments tightly like this without making a sound. Slowly he went and he sat between the Ayodhyavasis to listen to Ramayana. Ramayana is what? It is about Lord Ramachandra, right? But then that is how the Lord will feel happy when we actually talk about his pastime. So we have to understand that. Okay. Yeah. Next. So here there is one more very nice verse to support this particular verse. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, if anyone want to read. Okay, again Krishna Priya. Harshit, you want to read? Yes, Harshit. Yeah.
Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastre Kaya Lava Mantra Sadhu Sange Sarva Siddhi Haya.
Translation.
The verdict of the all relieved scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success.
Very good. So is my voice lagging or is it okay for you, Harshit?
Mother, it's fine.
It's fine, right? Vanshika, I think there is a problem on your side. Just check once your network, okay? Yeah. So this is a very important verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which actually says, what is the benefit of having one moment's association with a pure devotee? Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. So who is a sadhu here? Sadhu is a devotee of the Lord. Sadhu is not someone who actually wears that orange cloth on his body. No. Who actually realized that the Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi. So what is this? All the revealed scriptures is saying that even if we have a moment's association with a pure devotee, that will lead to success. So what is success? We'll see. So what is one moment? Let us decode this. According to Vedic calculation, one moment is 1/14th of a second. That is one moment, not even a second. 1/14th of a second is called as a moment. That much of time itself, if we associate with a devotee, that will lead to success. That is what this particular verse is saying. So here we'll discuss about a story. So there is a kingdom called Vanga. Okay, there is a king called Virat. Virat is a very pious king and he does lot of charity, so lot of pious activities. So one time he actually invited Narada Muni to his kingdom. And when Narada Muni came, he actually paid obeisances to Narada Muni and he actually showed lot of respect to him. He offered everything very nicely. And Narada Muni was so pleased with Virat. But then Narada Muni asked if he wanted anything. Then what this Virat, the king, asked is, Virat has a brother who is quite opposite to Virat. He is very sinful. He does all sorts of nonsense, so much of sinful activities, so many atrocities he does. So this Virat, actually what he asked Narada Muni, he pleaded Narada Muni is, can you go and talk to my brother and can you actually guide him so that he can lead in a proper right path? Then Narada Muni agreed and he went to Virat's brother. And this person is so sinful, right? He is not in a position to actually listen to Narada Muni. He takes lot of intoxication, lot of gambling he does, all sorts of nonsense he does. So when Narada Muni went to him also, he was not in a position to actually listen to Narada Muni and he was actually trying to throw things on Narada Muni. And Narada Muni thought it is useless to actually talk to this person and he actually left from that place. After some days, again, Virat met Narada Muni and he again pleaded, can you actually talk to my brother and can you guide so that he can lead a proper life? So Narada Muni again agreed and he went to this person, but he is not in a position to actually listen to him. And he was actually criticizing Narada Muni and he's talking all ill language to Narada Muni. So Narada Muni finally thought there is of no use to actually talk to this person. But he said one final word to that person, the Virat's brother. What he said is, at the end of your life, you just remember one thing. What is that? What is the result of what is the result one attains when they have a moment's association with a pure devotee. Just remember that. And he said, and Narada Muni came away from that place. So many years passed by, and this Virat's brother, he left the body. And then he went to Yamaraj, because we know, right, he's doing so many sinful activities. Yamaraj, he actually took a big list of whatever sinful activities he has done. And he said, okay, these are all you have done. Okay, I'll ask you one thing. What is your last wish? Then this particular Virat's brother, he remembered the sentence which Narad Muni told during that time. So he asked that question to Yamaraj. What is the result one attains by having a moment's association with a pure devotee? Then Yamaraj, right? Yamaraj, he's always involved in actually punishing people who are very sinful and all. So Yamaraj said, no, I don't know the answer to this. Let's go to Brahma and ask. So both of them went to Brahma. Seeing them, Brahma inquired, what happened, Yamaraj? What you came to me? Then Yamaraj explained to Brahma, saying that this person has come, I have to actually punish him. But then he asked his last wish as this question. So do you know the answer to this question? Then Brahma said, no, I don't know the answer to this question. Let's all go to Shiva and ask Shiva for this answer. Then they all went to Shiva. Then seeing them, Shiva asked, what happened? You all came here. Then they asked the same question. They explained everything to Shiva. Then Shiva said, I know the answer, but I cannot explain that nicely. Maybe we all have to go to Vishnu and ask Vishnu about this. So all of them went to Vishnu. Seeing these people, right? Oh, what happened? Shivaji, and then Yamaraj, what you all are here? Vishnu has asked. Then Yamaraj explained everything. Then Vishnu, what Vishnu said is, I will take care of this situation. You all just leave. Then he said, Vishnu said, Brahma, you have to go and take care of the creation work, right? Go, please go. Then Brahma left. Then Shiva is there. Then Vishnu said, Shiva, you have to take care of the annihilation and everything, right? Please go. Then Shiva also left. Then Yamaraj is finally there. Then Yamaraj, Vishnu said, Yamaraj, why are you still there? You have to go, right? Then Yamaraj said, no, I have to take this person along with me. Then he said, don't worry, I will take care of him. You just leave. Then even Yamaraj left the place. So finally, this particular Virat's brother is still staying there. And he was in a surprised look. He did not know what to do. And he was actually staring at Vishnu. Then Vishnu said, what? Then this person, this Virat's brother was asking, what is the result one attains by a moment's association with a pure devotee? Then Vishnu laughed and said, you are in Vaikuntha Loka. So Vaikuntham is a permanent place, right? It is a spiritual world. It is permanent. And do you still need answer? Do I still speak the answer to you? He said. So what we can understand here is, by just a moment association, he didn't even wish to actually speak to Narada Muni at that time. But then because of the moment's association, he was able to attain Vaikuntha. That is how important to be associated with a pure devotee. So here there is a life lesson if anyone wants to read. Yamini?
Yes, Mataji. Screen is not. Mataji,
Can you see?
pure devotee or like super magnet flings magnet.
Okay. So pure devotees are like magnets. So all of you know magnets, like, so if you have two magnets, what happen? They'll just stick to each other. Yeah. So pure devotees are compared like a super magnet. Okay. So if we actually attach to this super magnets, our hearts are like iron, right? They actually convert them into magnets. So what we have to do is, we have to develop that magnetic personality. So we have discussed about the qualities, right? Like humbleness, then respect. So all these qualities, when we actually inculcate into our day-to-day life, we will develop that magnetic personality wherein we will attract Lord by our personality itself. Okay, got it? Yeah, next one. Which, who wanted to read? Yes, Harshit.
तेषां शततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददाति बुद्धियोगन्तां येन मामुपयान्ति ते. Translation. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
Very good. So this is another important verse in this Chatushloki. So here what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying that he will give the intelligence. He will give the intelligence to his devotees so that they can come to him. Okay. Tesham shatata. Shatata means what? Constantly. Bhajatam priti purvakam, with love, with constant devotion. If someone is serving him with love, he said he will give us that intelligence where we can automatically go to him. Okay. And then there is a fourth verse of Chatushloki. Who wants to read? Mahati. Yes. Sanvi. Yeah. Sanvi, go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. तेषामेव अनुकम्पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. Translation. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Very good. So again, this is the last sloka of this Chatushloki. And here what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying that he will mercifully destroy the ignorance. So he is saying Gnana Dipena. So what does Gnana Dipena means? He's comparing it to a lamp. Okay. He's saying he will actually light the lamp of knowledge and he will destroy the ignorance, the darkness of ignorance. He will give us that understanding. Okay, here you can see a picture which says like carrying a baby, the monkey way or the cat way. So we already discussed about this. So here you can see how the monkey is, basically the monkey is not holding the baby. The baby is actually holding the monkey, its mother. But in the cat, you can see the cat way. The mother is holding the baby. So this is the Krishna's way of holding his devotees. Okay, the cat way. So if we actually believe in Krishna, if we actually believe in his opulences, and if we surrender onto him with love and devotion, he will hold us and he will destroy the darkness of ignorance from us, and he will give us that knowledge so that we can go back to him. Okay, understood? Yeah. So these are the 4 very important verses, and here we have a life lesson. If anyone wants to read, those who haven't read so far. Ashini?
Yes, ma'am. Purity is the force. Book scriptures are basis.
Very good. So here purity is the force. First we have to be pure. To be pure, what we have to do? We have to inculcate all the qualities, good qualities. And then scriptures are the basis. So for example, we are reading this Bhagavad Gita. So from where we are reading? That is a scripture, right? So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. So scriptures are the basis for this. So the summary of this 4 slokas. So what we derive from this 4 slokas, we'll understand here. The summary of this 4 slokas, it gave us a 3-step process. What is this 3-step process? It gives us Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. What is Sambandh? Sambandh is, it actually gives us the awareness. What is our position? What is our relationship with the Lord? Abhideya means it is a process on how we have to. So Prayojana means we have a goal. What is our goal? Our goal is to actually go back to Godhead. Okay. To attain that goal, what is the process? That is Abhideya. Okay. This 3-step process we get from this 4 slokas. So let us discuss in detail. So now first, that is awareness. That is Sambandha. Means we will know the relationship with Krishna and the universe. What is our relation? Okay. We understood from the verse 8, we understood that Krishna is the source of everything that exists. And he said he is actually giving us the knowledge and he will actually destroy the darkness of ignorance. He will give us the knowledge so that we can go back to Godhead. And he will destroy all the impediments. So in this process of bhakti, in process of advancing spiritually, if there are any impediments in the middle, he will destroy all that. That is what Krishna is saying in this Sambandha. And then Abhideya. So Abhideya, what is Abhideya? After reading Bhagavad Gita, what is the purpose of reading Bhagavad Gita? It is not just about getting knowledge. It is about implementing whatever we learned in our day-to-day life. Okay. So process Abhideya is applying this knowledge in the day-to-day life and practicing it regularly. So devotees, they actually surrender as said in verse 8. And how the pure devotees will be, they will be always involved in actually discussing about Krishna Katha, in reading the scriptures, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, chanting the holy names, like we are all chanting regularly, right? Chanting the holy names, and life fully devoted to my service. So a Krishna devotee, what he does is, whatever he does, he actually offers everything to Krishna. That is the process, okay? And then the goal. So what is the ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is, first we have to be knowledgeable. When we are knowledgeable, we will understand that we can go back to Godhead, right? And we will be protected. And this is a great satisfaction. And the more we actually hear about Krishna, the more actually we actually chant his holy names, we develop love for Krishna, and we will ultimately go back to the Godhead. So here we have discussed about in the 7th chapter, I think 7th or 8th, we actually discussed about remembering Krishna at the death, right? Anta kale eva. So how can we actually remember Krishna at the time of death? If we practice this regularly, if we chant the holy names regularly, if we listen to Krishna Katha, if we read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, then only we can actually reach our goal. That is the 3-step process. And next, this is the 3rd section. So the 3rd section is from 10.12 to 10.19. And here you can see it says Arjuna Vacha. So after, I think in 8th chapter or something, Arjuna spoke, and now he's speaking. After nearly 2 chapters, now Arjuna get a chance to speak. Until now, Krishna is explaining about his opulences. He's saying about, I am this, I am the source of that, I am this, I am that. Now Krishna is speaking. Let's see what is Krishna speaking here. Okay. Harshit, you want to? I think let me give a chance to anyone else. Yes, Harshini.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Arjuna Vacha Param Brahma Param Dama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Saswatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. Arjuna said, Supreme Personality of Godhead is the abode, the ultimate abode is purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest.
Very good. So after nearly 2 chapters, for the first time in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is saying, is confirming, he is saying that, oh my dear Lord Krishna, I agree that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the ultimate. You are the Pavitram. He's saying Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You are the purest. Shashvatam, he's saying eternal. Divyam means he is transcendental. Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. So he's saying you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I have no doubt about this. And Arjuna, for the first time after 9.5 chapters, now he's saying that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And see, when Arjuna says that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we might think because Krishna and Arjuna are dear friends and he's just flattering like that. But then he is giving references also. So what is that reference was? I don't have it here. Who wanted to, yeah, Krishna Priya, 10.13, yeah.
Mataji, ahustvam rishaya sarve devarshi naradastata asito devalo vyasa swayam jaiva bravishime. In this
yeah, you know that?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah,
in this sloka, Arjuna says that you are also telling that you are the supreme, and Asita, Devala, Vyasa, and many other. Those means are accepted that you are the supreme personality of Godhead.
Very good, excellent. So here Krishna, Arjuna is actually giving us references. He's saying, you are telling me you are the supreme personality of Godhead, and here Arjuna is accepting Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, and he is giving us references like Asita, Devala, Vyasa. They are already telling that you are the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, understood? Next, yeah. So here we have a life lesson if anyone want to read. When
you love or like something or someone, express that makes the whole experience sweeter, both for you and others.
Very good. So what is this life lesson about? See, Arjuna here expressed, Arjuna understood that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He would have left it and just go to the next question, right? He still have so many questions. But then what did Arjuna do? He said, Krishna, I agree that you are the supreme personality of Godhead. So let us actually relate that with our life now. See, for example, your parents, your mom or your dad may have done something for you. See, our parents do so many things for us, right? For example, your mother is cooking for you every day. Did anyone actually, did we actually go to our parent and said, okay, today the food is very nice. You cooked very nice. Thank you. Did we take the time out to say thank you to any one of our closer ones? Sometimes we actually take it for granted, right? Because they're our parents. We are seeing that every day. Maybe our siblings or anyone at home. We take it for granted. They are our people. But then what is this life lesson saying is when you love or like someone, we have to express. Then the person who is actually doing something to us, they will even feel more happy. They will even try to do more for us. See, for example, if your mother is cooking for you something, you just go and say, Mom, today the food is very nice. Thank you for that. She will get more enthusiasm and she even want to cook more and more for you. I'm just taking one example like that. This can be applied everywhere. So we always have to be expressive. We have to express things. Then the experience will be sweeter for both the parties. Okay, understood? Yeah. So now let's go to Arjuna's questions. So here Arjuna is saying, I accept everything you said. No one knows you. Only you know about yourself. Now Arjuna is asking, Krishna, my dear Lord, can you please describe your opulences, your divine opulences, your vibhutis? And in the verse 17, he's saying, how shall I think of you? How shall I know you? Then Krishna is explaining about his opulences. And here we have a verse before that if anyone wants to read. Harshit, you want to read? I am not seeing Harshit. Okay, I'll give it to Sanvi.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuyah kathaya triptirhi shunvato nasti me mritam. Translation. O Janardana, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Very good. So what is Krishna saying here? So far we have discussed about qualification of knowing Krishna, right? We have discussed that we have to be a dear friend. We should not be envious. And here there is a new qualification which is coming up. That is eagerness. We should have that eagerness to hear more. So here what is being said is Vistarenatmano means what is that? Explain in detail. O Janardana, again please describe in detail. Arjuna is asking Krishna to describe about his opulences in detail, and he is saying, I have never got bored of listening to you. Satiated means bored. I am never bored in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So now what is in this particular section, we will be discussing about why Arjuna is asking. So Arjuna need not ask this question, right? But Arjuna already know about Krishna, his opulences, everything. But why he's asking is, he's asking for common people like us, so that we will actually listen about Krishna's opulences, so that we can hear about the opulences and we can get closer to Krishna. And for the sake of devotees, because devotees always what they want to do, they want always to taste the nectar. They will never get bored. They always want to relish the sweetest pastimes of the Lord. Okay, and personal absorption. So that this again, this quotes about at the time of death, if you want to remember Krishna, that is for personal absorption. So throughout our life, if we start our journey of thinking about Krishna from now, then it is easy to remember Krishna at the time of death. See, for example, we might think, why is Arjuna asking so many questions? Why he wanted in detail to be explained? So let us take the example of a friend. So many of us might have best friends, right? So sometimes we might depart our friends and they might stay in a different city because of different circumstances. Sometimes even our cousins might be very close to us. So when our cousin or a friend calls us, we will actually have some conversation. After some time, do we want to put the phone down? No, right? We will keep asking, okay, anything else? Anything else? So that conversation will go on. We don't want to put the phone down, right? For hours together, we want to speak with them. Let's take another example. Like, for example, maybe a close friend or a close relative's wedding has just passed by, but you couldn't actually attend that wedding because of COVID or something. You couldn't actually attend that wedding. Later on, maybe after so many days, you actually met. They came to your house and you met your friend or cousin. Then you will sit with her and you will start everything, right? See how the mehendi function went on, what happened next, what did you buy, what clothes did you wear? So all this we'll ask, right? Why we are asking about all this? Out of our love towards our friend, we want to hear more and more from them. So same way, Arjuna is asking, Arjuna says like he's not even getting bored and he wanted to listen even more from Krishna. So now Krishna will talk about his vibhutis. Before that, we have a life lesson. If anyone wants to, go ahead.
Detail is the symptom of love.
Very good. So that example we actually were discussing, right? When your friend calls, you keep asking like, what next? What happened? What next? Tell me in detail. So detail is a symptom of love. If we have love towards someone, we keep asking more details. Okay?
Hare Krishna. The purer we become, more we think of the Lord and others and less of ourselves. That is the true compassion.
Very good. So what is this life lesson is saying is, the purer we become, more we think of the Lord, because Lord is our dear friend, right? We have to think about the Lord only. If we think about the Lord, automatically he'll take care of the rest. So, and others and less of ourselves. We won't even worry about ourselves. That is the true compassion. When you think about the Lord and others, that is true compassion. But if you are actually thinking always about yourself, if you are self-centered about yourself, that is not a quality of a true devotee. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the final section of this particular chapter, that is the Krishna's divine opulences or his vibhutis. So in this particular section, I'm not discussing about the entire thing. So Krishna here gives a glimpse of the fragrance of Krishna's glories. And he says that Krishna is the essence of all the things he mentioned. Okay, in this 22 verses, Krishna will explain about 82 of his vibhutis, but I'm not discussing about all of them. But whatever are important, we shall go through now. So Krishna is saying out of all the senses, he is the mind. See, mind is the only thing we cannot control. Even Arjuna said, I can even control the wind, but not the mind. So Krishna is the best of the bestest. He is the great of the greatest. So out of all, everything is Krishna, but in that he's saying the best of the best. Okay. So he's saying out of all the senses, he is mind. Out of all the water bodies, he is the ocean. There are so many lakes and rivers and everything, but he's saying ocean. And then he is the life force. What is that? If a living entity has a soul, okay, within. So he's saying the life force. If without that soul, what happens? It is like considered as dead, right? And out of all the beasts, he's saying he is the lion. Out of all the vibrations, he is Om. And out of all the seasons, he is saying he is spring. Okay. And then out of all the sacrifices, he is saying the japa, that is the chanting of the holy names. And out of the Devarishis, he is the Narada Muni. Out of the Daityas, he is the Prahlad. So Prahlad is a Daitya, but then he never had the qualities of a Daitya. He is a pure devotee. So out of all the Daityas, he is saying he is Prahlad Maharaj. And out of all the rivers, he is saying he is Ganga. Out of all the trees, he is Banyan tree. Out of all the sciences, he is the spiritual science. And out of all the secrets, he is silence. Why is Krishna saying he is silence? Is there any other secret other than being silent? No, right? That's why Krishna is saying out of all the secrets, he is the silence. So here we have a life lesson. If anyone
Water the devotion by eagerness to hear. It increases the faith, conviction, and determination.
Very good. So this life lesson is very important. We have to, this is another qualification which Krishna is saying, that if we want to listen to Krishna Katha, if we want to know more about Krishna, we should have that eagerness to hear. So today I heard about maybe a Damodar Leela, and tomorrow if someone is saying, if I am not eager to listen, then I am not having that qualification, because this is always susukam. It is not satiated. We never feel bored of listening to Krishna's pastimes. So once you actually have that eagerness to listen to Krishna more and more, you will have that faith, you will have the conviction, and you will have the determination. Okay. So this is the last verse for today. If anyone wants to read, I have so many hands up who want to read. Krishna Priya, I can see only their video.
Athava bahunaitina किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, pervade and support this entire universe.
Very good. So here, this is the final verse of this particular chapter. So here Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, what is the need for knowing about this detailed knowledge? He's saying, with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. So he's saying he's all pervasive. So from this, the question arised for Arjuna. Okay, Krishna, you're saying that you're all pervading. You're saying you'll enter each and every universe. You're saying you are there everywhere and you will actually support, sustain, create everything. How is that possible? Can you actually show me that particular darshan? Can you give me that particular darshan? So from this, the next chapter comes wherein Arjuna will ask him to actually show him the form which actually have all this. That is the universal form. It is the Vishwarupa. So we will discuss that in the next chapter. So we'll conclude this chapter with the last life lesson, I think. Let's read that. Yeah. So who wanted this life lesson? Okay. Who is able to see now? Okay, Krishna Priya.
Anything good in me is the reflection of Krishna.
Very good. So what we have to understand is, so we have discussed about so many vibhutis, so many opulences about Krishna. So if we have any good quality in us, if we see something which is beautiful, we have to understand that it is a reflection of Krishna, because we actually shared a teeny mini spark from Krishna. That's why it is that good. Okay. So we might have a question. Why did Arjuna actually ask about this vibhutis? And why is Krishna explaining about the greatest of greatest? Of all the trees, I am the banyan tree. Krishna is actually saying about all this so that tomorrow, if we actually go outside and if we actually come to see a banyan tree, we will understand that it's Krishna. We can remember Krishna by that, right? So that is why Krishna actually gave about all his vibhutis. So now a quick recap of this chapter. So in the first section, we discussed that Krishna is the source of all, and he is known at unknown, but how we can approach him, we have discussed. like Yashodamai tied Krishna with the bound Krishna with the ropes of love. With our love, we can actually bind Krishna. And then the second section, pure bhakti is the essence of the Gita. That is the 4 slokas, the Chatur Shloki. And what is the summary of this 4 slokas? It is, we get to know Abhideya, Sambandha and Prayojana. We'll get to know what is our actually relationship with Krishna and what is our ultimate goal. We should have love for Krishna and we have to go back to the Godhead. And what is the process which can be followed to actually achieve that is the Abhideya. And then in the third section, we actually discussed about Arjuna accepts for the first time in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says he agrees, he is agreeing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he even gave references like Asita, Devala, Vyasa, all these people also confirmed that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he actually says that he is even eager to listen even more. So he asked Krishna to explain in detail about his divine opulences. And in the last 22 verses, Krishna explained about his divine opulences, how he is the best of the best and how he is the great of the greatest. He explained in this particular verse. So that is the end of this chapter. Thank you very much for joining. Grandraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.